how do we identify these timings? Well, if we have a pen, and we don't have a pen, but we have this bottle of water. So this bottle of water, Dhuhr time, the sun comes up from the east. And when we have an erected object, whether it's a standing person, individual, or a stick, it has a shade. So when the sun rises, the shade is too long. The more the sun rises, the shadow is getting shorter and shorter and shorter until the sun is in the middle of the sky and the erected object has no shade at all. The moment it goes a little bit to the west, the erected object has a little shade to the east. This is when the time of the Dhuhr begins. So the more the sun goes westbound, the shade is getting longer and longer and longer. So the time begins when the sun is exactly in the meridian, the time of prohibition begins. So there is about 10 minutes that it is prohibited for us to pray, and that is 10 minutes before the zawal time, when the shade begins a little bit to the east. So these 10 minutes is prohibited to pray voluntary prayers. Once the shade shows, this is the beginning of the Dhuhr time. Till when? As long as the shade is getting longer and longer and longer, the same length of this erected object. Once it reaches the same length, the time of Dhuhr is over. And this is the beginning of the time of Asr. So once the erected object's shade is equivalent to its height or length, this is the time of Asr beginning and the expiring of the time of Dhuhr. Till when? Asr time is from the time the length is equivalent to the shade is equivalent to the length of the erected object, till the sun becomes yellow. Some scholars say that it is twice the length of the erected object. Twice the length. But the hadith states that it has to become yellow. And once its glow fades and it becomes yellow, we can look at it, then this means that the time of necessity it enters. And from the sun becoming yellow till it sets, this is a time of necessity. It's not recommended to purposely delay it till that time, because we have to observe the time of Asr, and it is the middle prayer as mentioned in the Quran. Allah says, maintain with care the obligatory prayer, and in particular the middle prayer, and stand before Allah devoutly obedient. So this is what scholars say pertaining Asr prayer. Is it permissible to pray at the times of necessity? Scholars say yes, it is, but it's like a danger zone. Why? Because you may face the issue of skipping Asr prayer, and that is a major sin. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wassalam, whoever misses Asr prayer, it is as if he lost his family and his wealth. And also the Prophet says, whoever misses Asr prayer, his deeds will be rendered invalid. Whoa, that's a real serious threat and a warning from the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. So the sun has already set. This is the time of Maghrib. The Prophet says, alayhi salam, the time of Maghrib prayer lasts so long as the red afterglow has not disappeared. So the moment the ring of the sun disappears, this is when the time of Maghrib begins. Now, when the sun sets, if we look in the direction of the west, there is a redness in the twilight zone. This is the afterglow. Because the sun has disappeared, but still there is this afterglow. Once this afterglow disappears totally and it becomes pitch black, this is when the time of Isha is due. And it is highly recommended to pray Maghrib as soon as the time begins. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wassalam, my ummah will continue to be fine as long as they do not delay Maghrib until the stars begin to appear, like the Shia do. They pray their Maghrib late. No, the Prophet says this is not recommended. The Sunnah and the way of the Prophet is to pray it as soon as the sun sets.